Hello, I'm Kevin from the Greenery Garden Home in Heidelberg in Melbourne. It's autumn in Melbourne, 1st of March today, and a good time to start thinking about fertilising your plants. Today I'm going to run through a few of the more popular products that can be used on the different plants in your garden. So stay tuned and I'll show you what's available. We often get asked what is the best fertiliser to be used on gardenia plants to keep them looking good, keep them flowering well, and to stop their leaves yellowing. It seems to be a common problem in gardens with gardenias having a lot of yellow foliage, particularly coming out of the cooler weather in the start of spring. The plants are affected a little bit by the cold winters in Melbourne. And they run out of food in the winter and they need fertilising regularly through the warmer months, starting at around about September. And if you want to promote lots of great perfume flowers and that nice dark green glossy growth that gardenias are renowned for, then fertilising ongoing is very important. One of the best products we like to recommend for gardenias is a specific fertiliser. It's Harry's Gardenia Food, and it's probably the best fertiliser that you can use on a regular basis to keep your gardenias looking good. It's a powder, it's easily applied, generally to the top of the soil, over the root system of the plant, and watered in after it's applied. You can use Harry's regularly through the warmer months of the year. Starting in September, I'd be probably feeding every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the size of the plant and how they're looking at any particular time. But if you want that nice, lush green growth and the fantastic perfume flowers and encourage them to keep coming, then the best thing you can use is the Harry's Gardenia Food. You would continue using this right through the warmer months, probably through to around about April. Depending on the weather. As soon as the weather gets colder and the plants stop growing and slowing down, they stop flowering, then there's no need to fertilise them. It's mainly through that warm summer months and the growing season that they're requiring the food. If you've got a particularly bad bout of yellowing, which they sometimes tend to do, then you could give them a supplementary top up with the Harry's as needed, and that tends to discourage them from yellowing. Generally, if they run out of food or the weather conditions, if they're not warm enough, then you tend to get a bit of discoloration in the foliage. Remember to grow them in a well-drained soil, generally fairly protected, sheltered spot in Melbourne. Easterly tends to be the preferred aspect. There are some varieties of gardenia which will tolerate more sun, but generally they like protection from that hot, intense western summer sun, which can sometimes burn the leaves and cause discoloration in the foliage. So regular feeding, probably every 6 to 8 weeks at least. If you are getting more yellowing, then you can give them a top-up feed as needed. Keep them moist, make sure they're growing in a well-drained soil, and you'll be rewarded with lots of perfume flowers right through the warmer months. Gardenias in Melbourne tend to flower only through the summer. We normally bank on them in flower by Christmas, depending on the prevailing weather conditions. They love the warmth, they love high humidity. They come naturally from warmer climates in Melbourne. So you've got to sort of encourage them along a bit by feeding them. And you can't beat the Harry's fertiliser. It comes in smaller tubs for those who have only got 1 or 2 plants. You can get larger sizes if need be. And if you're feeding regularly, they're probably a better way to buy it. They're a more economical way to buy the fertiliser. But look out for it in store here. It's a great fertiliser. We'd highly recommend it. I mentioned earlier about the Harry's Gardenia Food. Harry's are renowned for their specific type fertilisers, and they make a whole range of different products to suit different plants. One of the others I was going to mention is Harry's Daphne food. And similar to gardenias, Daphne are a plant that needs regular feeding. With the Harry's, we'd normally recommend at least 3 to 4 times a year, just to keep the plant growing well, keep it healthy, and to encourage those lovely perfume blooms in the wintertime. So similar to the Harry's Gardenia food, this is a powder. It's applied as a dry fertiliser to the soil around the root system and then watered in thoroughly after being applied. And the earliest you'd probably apply it in Melbourne is, say, September, and then again, say, December, and then again in autumn. So now would be a good time to start feeding your Daphne if you want to encourage those lovely flowers in the winter time. It keeps the plant growing well, it keeps the leaves a nice glossy green, and it makes the plant more resistant to pests that might otherwise attack it if the plant's not very healthy. So fertilising has added benefits other than keeping it looking good. It also helps to build up resistance to pests. So it can be used on other plants. It's specifically for Daphne. It won't hurt to put it on other plants, but there may be better fertilisers if you've got other plants in the garden that you're needing to feed. Remembering that autumn in Melbourne is a good time to fertilise the whole garden. You can use other types of fertilisers, general all-purpose plant foods, if you've got a whole range of different plants in the garden that you do need to feed. The plants are coming out of summer and they're needing a bit of a pick-me-up after the hotter days that we may have had, and fertilising is certainly recommended. Now the weather's cooling down, we're getting a bit more rainfall. It's a good time to apply fertilisers. So look out for the Harry's Daphne food, and indeed any of their other fertilisers that are recommended for various types of plants. We have them in store here at the Greenery Garden Home in Heidelberg. So another great product for those of you who've got citrus trees in the garden, and who doesn't have a lemon tree, either in the pot or growing in the garden itself. This is a fruit and citrus fertiliser. It's another specific type of food which is fantastic for any types of fruit trees, and that might include things like passion fruit, grapevines, for instance. You can use it on your fruiting type vegetables, and particularly good for citrus trees. Autumn again is a good feeding time for fruit trees. To encourage those fruit on citrus, they often are developing fruit at this time of the year, which will be ripe and ready for harvesting probably in the winter time. To encourage the fruit along and to get nice, luscious, good sized fruit, then adding a fertiliser now is going to help with that. This, like the Harry's products, is a powdered fertiliser. It's applied to the soil over the root system and watered. It's always good practice, regardless of the sort of fertiliser that you're adding to the soil, to ensure that you water it in well so that it is taken firstly into the ground and it's not sitting directly on the roots where it could burn the root system. So always ensure that you're watering the fertiliser in when you're applying it at any time. Certainly wash it off any of the foliage if you happen to get it on the foliage of the plant. It's less likely to burn if you do that. So watering is always good practice. If the soil's dry prior to fertilising, you need to water it first. Don't apply fertiliser to dry soils for the reasons that I've mentioned. And then after the fertiliser is applied, then you need to also water it in. This is fantastic for any types of citrus. You can use it on citrus growing in containers in the garden. It's a slow acting type fertiliser, so it's less likely to burn. So that makes it safe to use around any fruiting plants. You can use it on your apple trees, your nectarine trees, your peaches, and the list goes on and on and on. A great fertiliser. Use it regularly through spring, summer and autumn, and that will help to encourage those nice luscious fruits that we all look forward to eating. So this is a Grow Better product. It's called Fruit and Citrus Food, and it comes in a few different size bags here in store at the Greenery Garden Home. For those gardeners that don't want to have all these different types of fertilisers for different types of plants, and they want to make it easy on themselves, then there are particular products that can be used. Most of them are what they term all-purpose type plant foods, and you can buy them in various forms. And as the name suggests, all-purpose can be used on a whole variety of plants in gardens and in pots. And a lot of them are convenient in the sense that you may only have to apply them once or twice a year. So if you're a lazy gardener or a gardener that doesn't automatically remember to feed the plants, then some of these fertilisers are probably for you. This is an Osmocote branded product. Osmocote make a whole range of specific fertilisers, but they do general fertilisers for the garden as well. And this is an all-purpose plant food. It can be used probably twice a year, spring and then say early autumn. This lasts quite a long time. It's what they call a controlled release fertiliser. So it feeds over an extended period of time. So if you do happen to forget to feed your plants, then you know this is doing the job for you if you do happen to forget. Suitable for a wide range of plants and plants in pots. It's activated with temperature and also with moisture. So when you water your plants, then the fertiliser leaches out of the little round pellets and is carried via the water into the soil and into the root system of the plant. It's a very safe fertiliser to use. It's less likely to burn your plants, and it lasts a long time. So sometimes you may only have to apply it once a year, depending on what it is that you're feeding. And we can help you in store here with the right recommendation for which all-purpose plant food would be suitable for your plants. But Osmocote all-purpose is a fantastic fertiliser, and we highly recommend it. In a similar vein, this is a powdered all-purpose plant food. Again, it's a slow-release fertiliser. Probably use it 2 to 3 times through the warmer months of the year, spring, summer, autumn. Again, can be used on a whole range of different plants. Can be used on flowering plants, fruit and vegetables, roses, and a whole range of different shrubs and trees in the garden. Easy to use. It's a powdered fertiliser, again applied to the root system, above the root system, and watered in after it's applied, and would give long-lasting results, through those growing periods of the plant. Most plants need fertiliser through their growing season. A lot of plants tend to grow and flower through the warmer weather, and that's when they're needing a boost, with these types of fertilisers on a regular basis. This is available in a whole range of different sizes, depending on the size of the garden that you have. Again, can be used in pots, and it's a safe fertiliser to use, and very beneficial for your plants to keep them growing well, keep them healthy, and keep your flowers and your fruit coming. So another all-purpose plant food. This is a Grow Better product. Very good product. A product that's been around for a number of years is Dynamic Lifter, and this is a pelletised poultry manure. It's a very good all-purpose plant food. It's fairly high in nitrogen, which nitrogen in plants is used for leaf growth. It tends to keep the nice green colour in the leaves of plants, and things like leafy vegetables respond really well to Dynamic Lifter. It is an all-purpose and it can be used on a range of different plants. It's a safe fertiliser, it's slow release again, like some of the others I've mentioned. It does have an odour, but a lot of fertilisers have odour, and you've got to think about the benefits that they're giving to the plants and try to ignore the odour. It does go away fairly quickly. But another good general, easy to use, pelletised fertiliser, so it's convenient. It's applied to the soil. It can be applied into the hole when you're putting new plants in the ground, so that it's immediately available for the roots to use. But it doesn't have to be applied in the hole. It can be applied around the top of the plant, and again can be used in pots, hanging baskets, whatever it is that you might have. A good fertiliser, an old traditional fertiliser, but still a very popular fertiliser, and we like recommending it here as well at the Greenery Garden Home. For those gardeners who prefer to use soluble fertilisers instead of the slow release or the powdered types that I've talked about, there are various types of soluble fertilisers available here at the Greenery Garden Home, and a lot of them are just as effective as using the other types of fertilisers. They're probably not as specific. For instance, if you're feeding your gardenias, we'd always suggest the Harry's Gardenia Food. But again, if you've got a range of plants in the garden or in pots and you want to feed them on a regular basis, then Charlie Carp fertiliser is a goodie. This is diluted in water, or it needs to be diluted in water before you can use it, and it can be applied to the root system. A lot of the liquid fertilisers can also be applied to the foliage of the plants because the fertiliser can be absorbed into the leaf itself. And they tend to be fairly quick acting. So if your plant's looking a bit poor and you want to give it a bit of a lift, a bit of a boost, then liquid fertilisers may be the way to go. You can use them regularly. Probably fortnightly would be the recommended on most of the liquid fertilisers. Again, through the growing season, so through the warmer months of the year. They're generally safe to use because they are diluted in water, and they're convenient. So if you're watering your pot plants through a watering can, for instance, every 2 or 3 weeks you can mix up a solution of a liquid fertiliser like Charlie Carp and then apply it to the root system of the plant just to give it a bit of a boost and keep it looking good. Some people use liquid fertilisers in conjunction with a dry, slow release fertiliser, like for instance the Osmocote that I've mentioned. Osmocote make a pelletised slow release or controlled release fertiliser for pots, which lasts about 3 to 4 months. Every now and then you could mix up a liquid solution of something like Charlie Carp just to give the plant a bit of a lift if it needs it over that 3 to 4 month period. It doesn't harm the plant to use both, as long as you're not using it in excessive amounts. So look out for some of the liquid fertilisers. This is actually made from the European carp, which are a fish pest of a lot of the native rivers in Australia. So it's a good product in the sense it's environmentally beneficial as well, but a lot of fish products generally are fantastic for plants. So look out for that one. This is Charlie Carp all-purpose. Just as a footnote to the talk on fertilisers today, a lot of people tend to use Seasol as a fertiliser for a lot of different plants in gardens or pots. We just like to stress that Seasol is not considered a fertiliser as such. It is more of a health treatment or a tonic, and it's often used when you're putting new plants into the ground, or you're planting vegetable seedlings or flowering seedlings into pots. It just helps to stimulate root growth. If the plants that you had in the garden were looking a bit sad and might be suffering from a bit of stress due to summer heat or overwatering, then Charlie Carp is sort of a good Seasol is a good pick-me-up for those sorts of plants. It's not used as a fertiliser, it doesn't feed your plants, but it is a good tonic if your plants need a bit of a pick-me-up or you want to encourage new root growth at planting time. So don't confuse it with fertilisers. They can be used in conjunction with other fertilisers or on its own, but it is not a fertiliser. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video on the different types of fertilisers and their uses in gardens and pots. There is a whole range of different products obviously out there. The staff here at the Greenery Garden Home can help you with any of the queries that you may have regarding particular products. We're open 6.5 days a week, and we look forward to seeing you here in store and look forward to being able to help you with any of the queries that you may have. Thanks for watching.